From beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara Podcast. Here's Jeff.
Well, hello, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. And if you are on the other side of the planet, happy Sunday to you.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, Michelle. Today's guest is Michelle Clare. I haven't had you since, I think, let me pull it up.
Okay.
Because I put my notes out here. Give me 1 second. When was the last time you were on?
It's been a couple years, I think. Maybe
Right. All right.
Three?
So Michelle was a guest. She was podcast number 223. And we are now at 1070-ish.
Woo!
So I know it's about 300 a year, right? Let me fix this real quick.
Yeah.
So at 300 a year, it's been, a couple years. Wow. 3 is 900, maybe 3 years since you've been on. So That's amazing. Welcome back. Great to see you again. And I like your angels. And I even wrote down that when we had you on, we talked about your angel encounter. That's what you came on and you saw a 12-foot tall angel. And I was just thinking, I've had so many guests see angels and they all say they're like 8-10 feet tall. Why are they so tall?
Because what it is it's the amount of energy that they're carrying. So when they present themselves to us, they show us they usually show it in a way that we can go, oh, wow, right? And we can start to feel that power and that energy that they're carrying. They could also come in the size of an orb or a little speck because they are pure energy. But usually for us in our human mind, it works well if we see them as big, because then we can see the power that they really hold.
That's interesting that you say that they would come in as orbs, because I was wondering, are we orbs when we see them and that's why they're so big? But then I thought, well, you weren't an orb when you saw them. It was like in your kitchen or something, right?
Right. Yeah, I've seen them a couple of times. No, I think it's really just the way the energy presents itself to us, because they are pure energy. So they can come in as this orb, as this little, hummingbird. They can create whatever size they want to be to share it with us. But for me personally, when I saw them and I saw how huge they were, it was all-encompassing in a most magnificent way, in the sense where I was like, oh, here is love, here is grace, here is help.
All right, I didn't introduce you properly. Give me 1 second. I just kind of condensed your bio really quickly. And so for those of you that are meeting Michelle the first time, and I wouldn't be surprised, because like we said, it was about 2 or 3 years ago when she was on. She's a certified medium, an angel intuitive, and a spiritual coach. And she has new information to share about soul plans, shared death experiences, and navigating the delicate landscape surrounding suicide. So have you had a recent shared death experience?
I actually did. I just had one. This is the end of February. I just had one in the beginning of January with a gentleman. And this is something that I had before with my dog a few years ago when she transitioned. So I'll start with that one, because in that one, I was just being a loving dog mom. I was on the floor in my pajamas crying. The vet came to the house to euthanize her. And before the vet had listened to her heart again, I felt her spirit very delicately disconnect from her body. It felt like a feather on the wind. It was so gentle. And I heard my mom say, I have her now. And then the next thing, about 30 seconds later, the vet listened to her heart and said, she's gone. But that was the first one I had. And I've also been aware of these, studying them and understanding this phenomenon for a while. So in January, I was actually with the lady getting my hair done, sitting back under the dryer, and she comes back and she says, oh, Michelle, I just had to call 911. We have a man passed out up front of the store. So I get up and I start walking up there. And as I'm walking up there, I hear spirit say to me, fentanyl overdose. So I know what's going on. I get up there, I see him. He is laying on his back. He is cyanotic in color, which is kind of that purplish color that people get. Luckily, the police pulled up right then. There was nothing I needed to do. And I see them go over to him and they start CPR. So I start praying. I start calling in the light, the angels for this gentleman, for the first responders. And I can now feel his soul hovering around me. So I can feel his soul. This was not an on-purpose transition. So this was, oops, accidental overdose. And he had a little bit of confusion in that passing and where he was going. And they were actively working on him. So he and I linked in. And when I say that, it was kind of like our souls merged for a little bit. I could feel what he was going through. They loaded him in the ambulance. I went back, sat down in the chair with the lady that was working on me. And I could feel him. He's on a freeway now, headed to a hospital somewhere in an ambulance. I can feel him coding, and I was still linked in with him. So I'm in this ambulance with him. It was like I was sitting there listening, hearing, watching what was happening. I could feel them paddling him. I could feel, luckily on a very minor level, I knew when he was being shocked. And then gently I felt him disconnect and continue on to that heavenly realm. And so that was really the first human shared death experience that I had. And it was very important for a few reasons. One, it reminded me what I already know as a medium, but also as a human, that our souls are disconnected from our body when our bodies are going through the traumatic passing of death or something along those lines. And for this gentleman, his body was going through CPR and all of that, and yet I could feel his soul wasn't connected to it. The other thing that was really important for me that I had to work through with that afterwards was my life partner had transitioned from suicide in August. And so up until that point in time, I had not let myself go to the point where I was dealing with what it looked like when the first responders came and were working on him. And so there was the spiritual side of Michelle, being able to stand in the light, call in the angels, help this man transition. And then there was the human side of Michelle that now had to work through my own triggered PTSD from what I had witnessed and then what it brought up in my own memories.
I heard through the grapevine about your husband transitioning. Um, do you care to share any details about what happened to him? And if not, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, we can talk about this. So I'll just be real clear. He wasn't my husband. We were life partners, but we were definitely planning to spend our life together. And he had had depression for decades, literally for decades. It wasn't something that was a secret. I knew that he had it and he had dealt with it. He was not someone that felt better on antidepressants. He actually felt worse. And he seemed to be really managing it quite well at this point in time. He seemed happy. We were planning more future activities and all of these things. So there were no warning signs like many people might expect. And what had happened was I had left and gone out of town with my daughter because my niece had a baby. And so we went to go see my family. And he, while I was gone, he actually decided to transition himself or take his life. I do know now in hindsight and from the work that I've done on this is like the soul plan and all of that, this was for him kind of like sitting on an airplane. There is this emergency exit door, which you know where it is, but you don't plan on needing to use it. And I believe this was part of how he kind of viewed suicide. And so for whatever happened that day, we don't actually know the triggers. I had texted with him at 10:30 in the morning, and our texting was very normal. And what happened though was I came home and I had texted and called and he wasn't responding. And because I knew he had depression, I thought he maybe just needed a day or 2 days by himself, because this had happened before in the past. The next day I called his office. They said, oh, he called in sick, or his work, but he hadn't. And I didn't know that yet. And so I was supposed to go to a friend's house with a party with him. I end up going, he isn't there. I haven't heard from him yet. And that night I come home and I'm in my bathroom starting to get ready for bed, and I feel him come in behind me. And as I feel him, I just about lose my balance, because I know this is mediumship. And I hear him say to me, "You sure are beautiful." And I just lose my ability to stand. So I get to my bed and I lay down and I'm crying and I'm telling myself, this isn't real. I'm imagining this. And I feel him lay down behind me. He puts his arm over me and he says, "I wanted to be the one to tell you." And that was how I found out that he had transitioned himself.
Wow, that's an amazing story. My sincere condolences to you and your family, and
Thank
you
you.
seem to handle it well.
Well, I will tell you this. I'm like everyone else. I'm 6 months into this journey now. So there are definitely those moments where the world is breaking me and I'm on my knees, but I've done a lot of different things that have helped me to kind of navigate this. So part of it was I did a pre-life regression where I went into really diving into what was my soul plan with him. I have done counseling, but I've also done biofeedback. I've done breath work. I did Akashic record readings. I've done so many different modalities to really get to this point. And I can tell you this, there is no way for me, even with all of the spiritual knowledge I have, to bypass the human grief. I can't, but I do have an understanding. So I kind of compare it on a much smaller level to this. It's like if you got food poisoning from the shrimp, you know what it came from, but you still got to get through it, right? And so I understand when I started to do the soul planning and really diving into what does that look like? Why would my soul have signed up for something this traumatic? Like, what part of Michelle thought this was a good idea? Because the human side of me felt like I was going to break. Literally, I mean, there were moments as people know who have gone through that level of grief, whether it's a child, a parent, a friend, a partner. There are moments where you feel like you can't even take your next breath. And so as I dove into really what was my soul plan and his soul plan, there were really a lot of aha moments of things that I was able to find out and shared with me by spirit. But one of them was that in my 25-year marriage that had ended in divorce, I had never felt loved the way that I felt by him in this lifetime. And his soul came in knowing that it was going to have this opportunity possibly to transition by suicide, but it was not etched in stone. It was just maybe more likely for him than most people. And what really happened was our souls came together and we agreed to stay on this planet for a while in that space of love. And he stayed longer than he was planning on staying so that I could feel that love. And he also got to experience more with me as a partner for that short period of time. So on a soul level, this agreement made sense because we said, we're going to be able to share that level of love on planet Earth. And he said, I will stay longer for you. And I said, I will go through that pain to be able to feel that type of love there.
Well, you bring up great points, and that is something that we talk about quite a bit, is why, why do we choose suffering, or why is there so much suffering here? Why would we come here to suffer?
Mm-hmm. Well, so my understanding of that is it's really complicated because we didn't just come here to suffer, but usually that's where we learn our greatest lessons in the pain, when we learn how to move through that and transmute it and come out above. But when we are in this heavenly realm, which is where we've all come from and where we're going back to, but when we are in this beautiful, loving, timeless, blissful environment, it's very hard to understand what it would be like to even feel separate from God, let alone another soul. And so we choose to come to planet Earth for the contrast. It doesn't mean that it all has to be heartbreaking and challenging. But in those moments, we choose these lessons as the soul that we plan so that we can understand maybe compassion. We can understand what it would feel like to feel separate from God. We can understand really the individuality, because when we're in the oneness, we feel like we're one.
Sorry about that. Now you have your own abilities. How does someone else develop theirs?
Mm-hmm. So I do believe everyone has their own psychic and mediumship abilities, but a lot of times we consider it intuition, or we think of it as a wow, that was a one-time special, or a one-time, event. But really, what we need to start doing is you do need to meditate. So we've got to quiet our mind in some way, shape, or form. For some people, that looks like going out for a run, or for other people, it's taking a longer shower. For some people, it really is sitting quietly. But we've got to find those moments where we are sitting quiet in our mind and in the stillness. And in those moments, we want to set an intention. And that might be to connect with my angels, my life guides, dad, mom, whoever on the other side. And as we're doing that, see our energy opening up like a giant bubble around us, and really start to notice, what do we feel in our energy field? Do we feel a presence? Does it feel like mom? Does it feel like our life partner? Does it feel angelic? And we can start honing in and really training this so that we can make our own connection easier.
Do you think it's necessary to do some of your own personal healing first before you develop your psychic abilities?
That's a great question. And what I will tell you about that is I believe that it would help. Yes, because the more kind of density that we can move out of the way, the easier it is to connect with spirit. But I would also say it this way: by connecting with spirit, you will automatically move some of those things that need to be healed. Because I find that when I am working with my own clients, whether it's in a reading or doing healing energy work or whatever this is, as they are receiving their messages and their healings, there's healing in that for me just by being able to be part of it. So they actually work both together. If you can do some of your own work first, great, that will make it easier. But otherwise, connecting and quieting your mind is going to start the healing process in and of itself.
I had a PhD psychologist that's researching being psychic, and he said your brain is a filter, and if you don't even believe you can be psychic, you won't.
Mm.
Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah. Uh, I'm like, yeah, I'm processing that. I do have a comment on that. There is truth in that, right? Because our brain limits so much of what we believe we can do. Even when you put up a fence in your backyard and you train your dog, it can't jump the fence. It believes it. Other dogs who've never been trained that way, they just hop over the fence and keep going, right? So our brain does work as a filter, but I don't believe it would turn it off completely for the person. I believe then what would happen is the person would say, I have a gut knowing or an intuition, or it just felt right. So I think that they would still be receiving information. They would interpret it differently.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Sorry about that. All right. So do you think, you believe, and many people believe, that we plan out our life pre-birth. Do you think that we can start making plans this incarnation before we get there?
For our next life or for this life?
For our next one.
Yeah, I absolutely do. Because our soul is so multifaceted. It's just like think of it as with many rays of lights coming off of it. So our whole soul is not on planet Earth right now in our body. We're just like the little pinky finger of our soul having this experience. But our whole soul, our higher self, whatever these words are that we want to use for that, it can absolutely be already planning and creating our next incarnation, as well as right now you can be living in multiple timelines and multiple realities.
All right. So I'm so sorry. I'm still just getting set up here.
Mhm.
So when people have failures in life, do you think that most of them are pre-planned?
Not necessarily. And I'm not even sure that spirit world even considers them failures as much as they consider them opportunities to grow and change course. So I think that's the difference between the way a human would perceive it and spirit world would. Many times it's what we consider a failure that will launch us on to a new mission or a higher purpose, right? We come back stronger, better, even for people who have had losses in their life and now they go build the foundation or the scholarship or this job, they were let go. And so now they go become an entrepreneur and they invent something amazing to help this world. So our humanness might perceive it as failure, but spirit would always perceive it as an opportunity.
Do you think we plan out our lives just certain events pre-birth, but we still have some free will mixed in there with it? Like, for example, we're going to get married, we're going to have a certain job, maybe we're going to be in a car accident at a certain point. Even some NDEers feel like their NDE was pre-planned. So
Yeah.
where is the balance for you between free will and the planning?
Yes. So I like that. That's a great question. So we do have free will on a soul level because our soul planned our life and chose to come in. When I talk about reincarnation, no one is ever forced to come back. It's always an opportunity that we're given on a soul level. So there's the free will, like we didn't have to come back. We chose to come back. Then when that happens, our soul is creating this blueprint for our life. And I believe that it says, okay, Michelle's going to probably go to planet Earth. She's going to want to get married. She's going to have some kids. I'm making these plans. But during that time, free will exists too, as far as the sense that I could have chosen to not have kids, or I could choose to have three, which I have. So we do have blueprint things, which is like, most likely this is how your life is going to go. But when I come here, I still have the opportunity to say yes or no to things while I'm in course of this lifetime. So we have free will. We can go out, we can have the salad for lunch, or we can have the cheeseburger. What I will say is there are landmark things in our life, such as exit points, which will be opportunities for us to leave. And things like, okay, Michelle will get married. Michelle's third near-death experience will be her last choice to choose her mediumship or to come home, right? So there were things that in my life that were unavoidable. And that was part of the blueprint, but there's also some free will that's happening in between the things that are destined to happen. So it's both, it's creation and free will, and they interplay and intermingle throughout our lifetime.
I think part of the trick is that we come here perhaps with a purpose and events that we want to do, but we don't remember any of it. And probably
Absolutely.
many, many people are wondering, what is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing here? I mean, even near-death experiencers are told they have a purpose and that's why they're sent back, and they still haven't figured out their purpose. Do you
Mm-hmm.
have any advice for people to figure that out?
I do. Okay, so one of the first things that Spirit has told me about that is very often as humans, we're trained to think our purpose is here to serve others, right? I need to make this world a better place. I must help humanity, whatever these things are. That's actually the byproduct of the real reason we're here. The real reason we are here is to serve our soul and why our soul came to be here. So I'm going to use myself as this example. My soul said, I'm going to go to planet Earth and I'm going to be a medium and I'm going to enjoy this connection to spirit or whatever these things are that my soul said. So by serving myself first, which is honoring my mediumship, that's actually how I help others nowadays. So when we are in service to our soul first, serving others, serving humanity is a natural next outcome from it. When it comes to finding our purpose, we really need to dig into what do we feel inspired about and passionate about. Whenever we're inspired and passionate about something, that is our soul saying, yes, this, do more of this. It's really our spirit's way of saying, take another step in this direction. So whether you are an artist, a neurosurgeon, whatever you are, it's about finding that passion because your passion really will lead you to your purpose in life.
I have a question from the audience, and this
Mhm.
is, how do I guess, how do I reconcile my personal learning experiences with the learning experiences of those I choose to walk with in my life?
Okay, so that just sounds like there might be different opinions going on there. Is that how you're interpreting that too?
Well, I guess how let me say, how would I interpret that? Like
Okay, yeah,
how do I recognize my personal
personal.
experiences with with maybe
Uh-huh.
their partner has completely experiences that they're
Right.
supposed to go through.
Right. Okay. So I guess this is what I would say. Knowing that we are all on individual soul journeys is really important. About as far as we are stepping forward in who we are. So when I'm going to use my third near death experience as an example for this. When I came back, what Spirit had told me was, Michelle, instead of looking at people and saying, why does she always date the same person or what's going on here? If you really will look at it as, what is their soul trying to learn? There's nothing to reconcile with that. So for me, what I would say is, when you're having an experience, we have 8 billion people on this planet. Everyone is having their own individual experience. So it's okay to have a difference of opinion and to see things differently, knowing that your soul is here for its purpose and its lesson, which might be interpreted different by someone else in theirs.
All right, let me see. I think I have another question for you here.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. Oh, do we have a choice on whether we have to be in this kind of world, or is it mandatory?
Okay, we do have a choice. That's a great question. So we can be in other dimensions. There are many more dimensions that are much more upgraded and peaceful than the one that we live in. However, one thing about planet Earth is it is the cutting edge for learning because of the density here and the amount of contrast here. Other dimensions and environments that I've become aware of tend to be much more peaceful than this one. You do not have to come here, but think of this as the crash course. Your soul might say, hey, 100 years on planet Earth is like 1,000 years in another dimension. So you might decide to take the AP course or the advanced course and show up here.
Do you think that no matter what our purpose is, that our higher self will always kind of steer us back to our purpose if we get way out of, way off track?
I believe that's the majority of the time, but it's been my understanding too from Spirit that sometimes that does mean that in some lifetimes we are not able to complete it because we have become so off track. So we're just going to use, sometimes people transition early, but they were never going to be able to get back on track to fulfill that life's mission. And so in spirit world, it's not considered like, oh, you bailed or you came home early. It was more like, you're right. You needed to come home and rest and recuperate, and you'll have another attempt at that in the future. Normally, though, for most of us, our soul, not just our soul, but our life guides are really giving us this opportunity to get back on track, get back on track. Really think of it like this: the whole universe is rooting for us to achieve our life plan and our life mission. So every time that they can come in and support us and guide us back to really why we came here, they will.
Well, it's been a long time, as I said in the beginning, that we've been together. And for those of you that are just tuning in, because we have a lot more people now than from the beginning, Michelle was a guest about 2 to 3 years ago. She was with me at podcast number 223, and we're at over 1,000. What are you doing now these days? Like, what kind of work are you doing?
Yeah. Well, so I just finished my book that hopefully will be coming out soon. It's going to be called The Longest Second: Emergence of a Medium. So I've been working on the book. I'm doing mediumship, psychic readings, angel connection readings, life guides, and I also do medical intuitive information. So I found that that's been something that's really come on a lot more this year, where people are coming to me asking for that. So I do one-on-ones. I do group readings, podcasts, books, all of those fun things. But really, the biggest thing is that one of my goals is just to help people heal body, mind, and spirit. So whether I'm working on someone with healing energy or doing a mediumship reading, the goal will always be to facilitate their healing and their progression as not just a soul, but a human on this planet.
Do you work with any specific beings of light?
I do. So I really work closely with the angels. Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael are very strongly around me. I work very closely with Jesus very often. And Mother Mary comes in too. I was raised Catholic, so it's very easy for me to attune to that energy, for lack of a better word. So I work with them very closely, but I will have other energies come in too. And sometimes I will know them, and other times I will not, but I can feel the power or the presence of their soul.
You know, I feel like in a way, being a medium is very close to being a channeler. Have you ever done any channeling?
I actually have. I have just started channeling within the last few months.
Hmm.
It's been very amazing. So the first time I channeled, it was actually an oops, which was really funny. But I went to a friend's party and I said, "Oh, want me to give you a channeled angel message?" And they said yes. So up until that point of time, my channeled angel messages felt more like mediumship. I would like to say, think of it as a band or a bandwidth. So when I'm doing mediumship, I'm more in the top of the band. When I'm channeling, I'm right there sunken in the middle of it. So I went to give them this message. And the next thing I knew, it was like I had blinked out of my body. I was in this beautiful warm light. And then I blinked and I was back in. I had no idea how long I had been gone or what I had said. So I have since channeled messages from Archangel Michael, Raphael, Haniel, but right now I haven't started doing it on a large scale for everyone yet, but I do have a close group that I practice with and I share these great messages.
Well, that's great. We may have to get you back when you feel comfortable doing it and have you do a live channeling.
Oh, I would love to. And I don't think that's going to be too far off in the future because it comes in so strong. I will say this, when I was channeling Archangel Michael, wow, I felt like I was trying to hold a semi with the amount of power and energy that was coming in. It was really amazing. And so I'm really learning how we're not just channeling it through our soul, but it is coming in through my body too. And the people who sit with me are actually feeling a physical energetic transmission too of healing, tingling. It's really amazing.
I have another question here from the audience, and let me see if I can find it here. It says, "What does Michelle think about people who have hellish-like near-death experiences?"
Mhm.
It's and about 600 of them, there's probably been about 4 or 5, so it's like 1 out of 100, I guess.
Right. Yeah. So this is what I would say. That doesn't tend, right, like you said, it's not very common. But a lot of times I think of it about two things. One, that person's perspective. So a lot of times when people go into that, they are expecting things to not be great. They are fearful. They are almost, I want to say, creating the reality of it. And because of that, I've been told by spirit a couple things. When people have these hellish experiences, it's more about what their human mind has created for them to expect than what they're actually going to find. But even in those experiences, there are truly always beings of light, angels surrounding them, waiting for them to let them elevate them out of that into the light. So anyone who might have experienced that, it would be until they let themselves be lifted up. I was even speaking with one man who said he saw like God's hand come in and pull him out of the darkness and into the light. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, where we create this a lot of the times. I do think that there is a vibrational frequency that happens. And I have had an experience with a lady in spirit who was and I'm going to use the term ghost. She wasn't in this earthly dimension, but she wasn't in the light quite yet. And when I connected with her, what I found out was she was really afraid to go into the light because she thought she was going to be judged. And so, what I did for her, I called in the angels, called in the light. I watched her beautifully step into this. And literally, I saw her transform into this younger woman and be gone. But so she was holding herself back from stepping into the light because she was, afraid of being judged. And that's one thing that I want to share with people. In near-death experiences, there isn't anyone judging us. It's us judging ourselves. And usually it's not even us being horribly harsh on ourselves. It's us saying, oh, I could have done this differently, or I might have made a better choice if I had done that. But it's not really about punishment.
All right, here's another question. Please ask her, how do we know if a loved one has reincarnated in this lifetime?
That is a great question. So, we might not know. I'm going to be honest with you. You might not know, but I want you to think of this about rays of light coming off a beautiful sun. So, let's just take grandma, for example. The ray of light that was grandma will always be grandma. And if that soul comes back in and reincarnates, it's creating a new ray of light. So a lot of times I will have people say, especially parents who've had kids transition, but what if my child comes back in here and ends up with a family on the other side of the world? The version that is your child, that ray of light will always be here and be connected to you. And should that soul come back in, it will create a new ray of light.
Do you know Father Nathan Castle?
I do.
Oh,
I
okay.
have
Yeah,
had the pleasure of meeting
oh,
him.
that's great because I think you're in Phoenix and I'm pretty sure he's in Tucson. You're real close to me and you're both mediums and I guess you said you were Catholic and he's a Catholic priest. I thought it'd be a great person for you to know.
Yeah, he's amazing. I've actually met him at the last two IANS conferences. And then, yeah, we've had some interactions. He's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he's great. What do you think are some of the misconceptions that people have about mediums?
Yeah, so a lot of times, really, it tends to be either biblical or fraudulent are usually the two things that people think. Like this is evil, which it's not, because what I can tell you is that all of my information comes in light and love and for someone's highest good, and you're not going to receive that from something that's not already in the light. The other thing is that because mediums, it's been really hard for people. There are a lot of people who are fraudulent, who claim to be a medium and give bad information, or maybe they're a really poor medium and they're giving you bad information. And that's why I always say it's important to use a certified medium. And that's why I became certified, because I wanted the credentials to say, look, I've been vetted, I've been tested, I'm actually doing what I'm doing. But usually these are very limiting belief systems, because the truth is that in spirit world, no one is more connected to someone's loved one in spirit than the person who loves them. So I'm not more connected to their family member. It's just I'm not carrying their grief or worry, and maybe I'm more open in my connection. So that makes it easier for me to get the information.
How does one become certified at mediumship?
Yeah, so for me, what I did is I went through Mark Ireland's Find a Certified Medium, and that's a website people can go to. I think we have 42 or 45 mediums on there now. But what I would do is he would reach out to me and he'd say, Wednesday at 11 a.m. be on Skype. So I'd log on to Skype. I have a blank screen and I just start talking. Okay, I have a young man coming through. He's saying he died of brain trauma, and start giving the information that I was getting. And I wouldn't know if it was going to be a male or female or where in the world this person lived. And they would just start scoring and writing down things. And so with that, it's really blind readings. And after you do 5 of them, you have to reach a certain percentage, and then you're certified.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you feel that mediums or do you use any tools like tarot cards or anything?
Yeah, so usually when I use the tarot cards, I use them for myself. Once in a while, I'll ask a client to pull one, but really for me, I am the tool. So it's really fun when I am working with somebody who does numerology, like Sue Frederick, or somebody who does tarot cards or something like that. When we do joint events, she'll be pulling her numbers and I'm telling them what I'm getting, and it all aligns. So for me, I guess I see myself as the tool.
All right, I got another question for you. Can you please ask Michelle, how can we change negative energy to more positive energy? Any daily
Yeah.
tips of small things to do?
Yes, and I'm going to give you those. So that's amazing. Thank you for that great question. So really the first thing is we have to bring our awareness to the situation and see where our thought pattern is going. So I'm going to use my extreme example of my life partner's suicide with this. So there were so many days that I wanted to go down the rabbit hole of what if, should have, could have. And I would literally have to stop my thought process and say, I am just grateful for the opportunity to have loved you in this lifetime. So when we're talking about shifting negative energy into positive, we got to start with where's the negative thought? And then we need to start taking stair steps over and shifting that energy into positive. And the more often you do this, you're literally training your brain to look for the good in things versus looking for the negative. One thing I'm telling you that I'm feeling about this guest who wrote this, I would like to say this. I do believe you were trained in this by someone in your family, because it doesn't feel like it was actually the way that you were born or brought into this world. It was probably an adopted pattern, is what Spirit is saying, that you picked up from a mom, a dad, a sister, a grandma, or somebody who was very close in your life. But it's not actually your true soul's natural way of being here, is what I'd like to say.
So, once again, you were here at the very beginning, and most of the people here don't know you. So, I have a question that they would like you to comment on your background and how you started how you started communicating with the angels.
Yeah. So well, when I was 12 years old, my grandfather transitioned, and that's when I realized that I was still talking to him. And I would share that with my mom, and my mom would say, "Well, that's what you think Grandpa would say if he was still here." So I kind of realized, oh, this is just me and Grandpa talking. And then I went on to have 3 near-death experiences. And those are what we talked about in your first episode that I was on with you in episode 223, you said, right? So people can refer back to that for more details on those. But with that, so with each near-death experience, and 2 of the 3, I actually saw different angels come in. And so since that has opened my communication to a much stronger channel with angels.
All right. Oh, I thought I had another question here. Sorry.
That's okay.
Excuse me one second. So, if you had to speculate on angels, do you have, well, I don't know what speculate's not really the right word, but with the angels that you are in contact with, do you have a preference or a favorite angel?
I love that. I always call on Archangel Michael. That just seems to be one of the angels that I work the most closely with, along with my guardian angel Madeline, who was one that I saw in my first near-death experience. I would say this, think of angels have almost their own vibrational frequency. So any energy in that vibrational frequency, I am always thrilled and honored to work with. So yes, I have my regulars, but I am always excited to work with some new ones too as they come in. And depending on the person or the situation, I will get new energies in.
I think it's been asked before, not tonight, but asked before. Many souls connect with guardian or archangels when they cross over. And so, how do all these people connect with the archangels at the same time?
hmm I love that question. So our soul is able to be in more than one place at a time. So think of it as a Zoom screen, and we have 100 little Zoom squares on there, right? You could be there, Jeff, talking to 100 people at one point in time, because it's just energy and it's showing up in different ways. This is really how Jesus or the angels or any beings of light are able to be once we let go of our human form, because those archangels or Jesus or whoever they're looking to connect with can be in more than one place at a time.
All right, I have another question for you here. Oh, okay, yeah. My question is, how can I identify the specific angels?
hmm That's a great question. So I would start asking them for when you're feeling their energy, just say, can you please give me a name, an initial, or a color that correlates to you? And so every time you're connecting with Archangel Michael, maybe you see the color blue, or maybe you see the letter M, but you're having a knowing of that. The other thing is, I always ask them to stand in similar places in my energy field. So I know that if I feel this large presence on my front right, this is always going to be Archangel Michael. On behind me will be Archangel Raphael. So you can ask them where they can stand. You can ask them to give you a sight, smell, feeling, or a name so that you know who you're connecting with.
What are your thoughts on angel numbers like 1111?
Yeah. So I love angel numbers because that is really the angelic realm. I see it differently than life guides. Life guides are here to be like, hey, get back on the plan, get back on the plan. We have a plan. Our angels are like our cheerleaders and our protectors. So they carry a different energy with them. So when they send us angel numbers like 1111, it is really important to stop, think about what are we thinking about? Are we daydreaming in that moment? Are we, where is our heart at? Because that is always their way of encouraging us to move forward. And I would say this, they're always asking us, have faith, take the next step. So a lot of times we get scared. We're like, oh, what if this doesn't work out? Or what if I get my heart broken? All of these what ifs. And our angels are always right there saying, take the step. We've got you.
Here's another question. How do you connect with your spirit guides or guardian angels? I'm afraid, but also curious.
Yeah. So, well, number one, let me tell you this. If you're going into this afraid, they're probably not going to connect with you because they don't want to scare you. I mean, they're very loving and compassionate beings. So the first thing to know is I want you to think of your guardian angels or your life guides as like your closest best friend. Like they know you through and through and they love you no matter what, no matter how silly, how mean, how happy, whatever. However you are that day, you are absolutely unconditionally loved by them. So just by knowing that, that kind of eliminates the fear. The other thing to know about them is they've agreed to support you on this lifetime. They're not here to judge you. They are here to help you. So let's start seeing them as the helpers that they are. And then as you're doing that, start setting intentions. Just say, send me a sign today, or I'm going to go meditate for 5 minutes. Let me feel your love. There are little things we can do where we can ask for signs, ask for feeling, ask to see a color or smell something, and they'll really start letting us know that they're around in those ways.
Would that also apply for your spiritual team or guides?
Absolutely.
Do you think that the fear of meeting your guides or angel is being afraid that they're going to harm you or some way, or being afraid that if they do actually communicating with you, you'll think you're crazy?
Yeah, well, that's fair. I think I think there's two fears around that. Well, no, three is what I just heard Spirit say. One, exactly what you said. I might think I'm crazy. Someone else might think I'm crazy. The other thing is going to be that they're going to judge me. They're going to tell me I've been a bad human. I haven't done what I was supposed to do. And then the other thing about that is feeling unworthy. Like, who am I to be able to communicate with my own angel, right? So between those three things, that really keeps people stuck in our human condition. And you've got to realize your angels, your life guides, your spirit team, they love you and support you and want you to succeed in this life every way that you can. And so it's never about that. But I do think that, because, and I'll tell you, after my third near-death experience, when I started talking to dead people, as people would say, I went to a counselor. I didn't go straight for a mentor. I went to a counselor because I said, oh my gosh, I'm talking to people on the other side and I don't know what to do about that. And luckily Spirit led me to the counselor who said, what a gift. Let's get you a mentor.
All right, let me get some more questions here for you. I have a question. My Yorkie passed a few years ago. I held her close to me. It felt like an actual little electric charge go through my chest and quickly pull back. What happened, or what was that about?
Okay, so was that when, was she felt that while the dog was passing, correct?
I think so.
I think that's how I'm interpreting it. Okay, so that's what it feels like to me. So for me, I would actually say that was probably a shared death experience. So probably what you felt was that soul disconnecting from the Yorkie body, and you felt it move through yours. Now, it wasn't meant to go through in a way that was shocking and scary, but it was like, I'm leaving now, Mom. That's kind of the energy, or Dad, and so I think that you actually had a shared death experience with your beautiful pup.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, I think I have some more here. Let me kind of catch up with them. I have some experiences now. I have had some experiences now and then, but it can go years between. I wonder why that is so and not more often.
Yeah, so that's a great question. I'm going to tell you what I'm feeling with that is that it's that life gets busy. So That was the same thing for me. Before I really made mediumship and connecting with spirit part of my daily practice, I would have these huge spiritual experiences. My first near-death experience, even my second. And after both of these, I go back to being human. I have this awareness and this understanding, but I'm not making any time to process it or start incorporating it in my life. So my guess is for you, you have these big moments where spirit says, we're here, we're loving you, we're connecting with you. But then we've got to start translating into that every day. What does that look like? And how do I carry that with me so that I can enhance that?
All right, here's another question that I really like. How do we know it's actually our angels answering us and not just our ego, our own inner voice?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for me, one of the things that I know, especially when I'm doing readings or when I'm connecting with my own angels, is they will usually give me ideas, thoughts, things that were not in Michelle's head. So Michelle is driving to the grocery store thinking, I've got to get this for dinner and I've got to get that. And all of a sudden I hear a voice come in and say, hey, you need to call your friend and check on her, right? And so when we get this information that seems to come from a different direction, that's really when we know that it's not from us. And it will also be ideas. The other thing that we can do is we can set the intention when we go into that meditative state that anything that comes through right now is in light and love and for our highest good and will be divinely guided. So we know that the information coming through is not just our ego. Also this, when information comes in from spirit world, it feels good. It does. When I'm reading for people, even if it's a really tragic situation and a parent who's lost multiple children, the energy that's coming through is light and love and for the highest good. And so you'll feel the difference in that. Is this a thought saying, oh, you're not good enough, you're never going to succeed at that? Okay, that's ego. That is not what your spirit team would ever tell you.
Here's another one. Do you teach your gifts individually or in a group?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing individual mentoring, but I do have a couple classes online and I'm coming up with a course that I'll be putting out probably later in this year for mediumship or connecting with life guides, angels. I'm looking at different ones right now.
Did you say you have a working title for your new book?
I do.
What is it?
It is called The Longest Second, Emergence of a Medium. And that title, because in the last chapter, right before the last chapter, I said to Spirit, how long would you describe our time here on earth is? And Spirit said to me, Michelle, it's just the longest second.
That's
So
great.
while I was in that heavenly realm too, in my near-death experiences, it was just the longest second. So that's the title.
When will that be out?
So I've got a couple agents who are interested in it right now, and they are going to be pitching it soon to publishing houses. So hopefully this year soon.
Oh, that's great. Well, if people want to hook up with you and find out more about what you're doing, do you have a website or a YouTube channel?
Yes, please send them to my website, MichelleClare.net. I'm also on YouTube, Facebook, but all of those links are on my website too. My upcoming events will be there.
All right. Do you have anything else you're working on that you'd like us to know about?
Let's see. Well, I have a Gaia TV, something coming out on Gaia
Really?
TV.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What are you going to be doing there?
Thank you. I'm on there with George Norrie for Beyond
Wow,
Belief.
that's amazing with George. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you. So that's coming out. I'm going to be working on a documentary about suicide in the near future. And yeah, so just different things are popping up this year, but I'm really excited for where it's going to go.
Well, that's great. You're going to have a great year.
Oh, thanks, Jeff.
Well, before we finish up, can you leave us all with a last positive message?
Yeah, absolutely. I want everyone here to know that their power to look at things in a positive light will literally change their life. So really, if there's one thing you can do for yourself today, it's start to shift the way you're looking at things from negative to that everything is happening for you. And please, please, please remember that literally your angels, your life guides, your loved ones in spirit, God, source, the divine, you are all truly loved beyond measure in a way that none of us can even humanly comprehend.
Thank you for that message, Michelle. Thank you for coming in and being with us today. Once your book is out, contact me. I'll put the link to it in this video. And when you're ready to start channeling, also contact me, because I think it'll be great to have you back and channel for all of us and take questions for all of it from all of us.
Thank you, Jeff. I would love to, and I look forward to sharing that with you.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening, and take care.
You too. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, wrong one. And we'll give a big round of applause for Michelle. That was awesome. All right, I'll put a little music on. We have another guest coming in about 5 minutes, which is Michael Vess. He contacted me and wants to come in tonight, and he'll probably be here in the next few minutes, which is perfect timing to let me get in and share a few things before we get to the next guest. And I'll let you know that Mike is here to talk about his spiritually transformative experience in 2004. We've never met, so I'll be meeting him along with you guys tonight. All right, so if you are new here, if you haven't been here before, down in the description below are links to our website, our Facebook page, my personal Facebook. If you want to friend me, I'm accepting up to like whatever Facebook gives you, which is like 5,000 friends. And then at that point, that'll be it. So if you'd like to friend me, that's there. Let me see what else is there. Like I said, we have our other YouTube channels, we have our merch store, and that is about it. So let me kind of prepare you guys. Oh, Michael's here. Okay, so Michael's going to be coming shortly. If you're in the chat, Mike, just go ahead and join me on Zoom. I hope I sent you the Zoom link. If I didn't, I'll have to give it to you. Where is it? I kind of lost my video myself. Where was I? Oh, where is that? Okay, Michael's there. All right, let me see if let me give him personally the, maybe I didn't give him the Zoom link, so let me give that to Michael. Tomorrow night's guest is an amazing artist who connects with people's spirit guides, fairies, and I think ETs, and she connects with ETs, maybe even seen them in real life. I don't have my notes in front of me. And she draws them, and her artwork is amazing. And we go over some of her artworks. I think you guys would really enjoy that. All right, I sent Michael the link. Let me get back to you guys here, and let me pull up my calendar and kind of tell you guys what's coming up this week. Tomorrow I'm going to be with a famous YouTuber, has over 1 million subscribers. I'm not really sure what his content is, but he also had a near-death experience that we're going to be talking about. And his name is Joel, from Joel TV. So that's tomorrow. Let me get I got too many windows open here. Let me pull back open my calendar. So that's tomorrow. I have another person, which is a near-death experience on Monday to record, a UFO person on Tuesday. I didn't put any notes on that one. Another UFO, Constance Victoria Briggs, and we talk about the galactic history of Earth. It's a UFO person, so that should be pretty interesting. And then, let's see, another near-death experience on Friday, and then next Saturday, I have Peter Sterling, a harpist, and a couple others that I have to kind of work through. And then do I have other ones? Oh, I have another one. I have some other ones that I already recorded, 2 other near-death experiences, and one of them is a man from France. There it is. I lost myself. All right, so I have another international guest from you, a near-death experiencer from France that talks about his experience. So it's great that I'm trying to build more people worldwide, near-death experiencers. I want to really build up my catalog and provide that for everybody. And so I believe this is Michael. Hope it is. Doesn't say Michael. I'm going to take a chance. And hopefully we don't get video bombed. Looks like it's a phone. Let's see. I'm going to mute for a second. Ask Michael. Michael, if you're there in the chat, is that you? This is your phone number or something? He's in there. I just muted him just in case. I have you on mute. Okay, that's him. That must be him. Oh, I lost him. So Mike, we'd like to see you as well. If you're on, can you click on the link to join us on Zoom and video? Yeah, I saw that. We'll see if he'll be able to. He should be able to. We can figure it out. I've done 1,000 of these, and well, nearly every time I've gotten everybody in. Probably 5 or less out of 1,000 have I had somebody that we had to do this on, like Facebook Messenger. Michael, do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. All right. So are you audio only, or can we see you as well?
Well, I see you, but I don't know how to connect in that way. I thought that you were going to be able to call me somehow.
Well, are you using a phone?
I'm using my phone. Correct.
Are you just calling in? Are you calling in, or are you clicking on the link that just puts you in the video?
I just clicked on the one tap mobile number that you sent me, and put in the meeting ID.
Okay.
And
I've never been on your end, especially joining with a phone. Maybe someone in there can help. But at the bottom, it says local number link, and at the top there is just to join my personal meeting room. Click this web Zoom link. Is that the one you clicked on? At the top of the, it's like at a long link.
I did.
There's a link at the top.
I did. Let me click on that.
Yeah, you may have to go out and then click on the top link. You may have to leave and come back.
Okay.
All right. So this is also behind the scenes, just like the behind the scenes videos. I mean, just like exactly what you're seeing is what I go through with the guests from time to time, that sometimes they can't log in, they can't figure it out, and I'll help them kind of troubleshoot it until we get it sorted out. And then finally I can record the guests. So hopefully he will be able to make it work. We'll find out here real soon. You will find out. For those of you that do not know about it, while we're waiting, we also have Discord. And Discord is kind of like Facebook, but better. You can post memes, you can video chat, you can audio chat. I have my personal rooms. And so, and I let basically everybody police it themselves. I'm rarely there, but there's over 600 people there, and they're all like-minded people because they're here. So you can go in there, you can hang out, you can chat. I have different like chat rooms basically, and it's really cool. And so what you do is you go to Discord.com, and you sign up for a free profile. It's all free. And then once you're ready to go, you email me, and my email address is in the description here. And I will give you the passcode personally, because the same kind of people that came here to cause trouble were also crashing into the Discord and causing trouble. And I had to kick them out and then take away the passcode to get in, because I just had it where anybody could join. So if that's something you're interested in, that is there for you. Michael says you're here, but you're not up here on my screen, because if you were here, it would say you're here and it would ask me to let you in. So we're almost there. For some reason it just didn't get in or something. Why don't you try? We can try again. While we wait, what are my favorite types of videos to record? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a great question. I'm not really sure. I am not really sure. Well, Michael, at the worst, you can just come on and we'll do audio only. But I'm surprised you can't connect. I'm not sure what's going on for you, but it shouldn't be a problem unless you're already connected somehow from your phone and you didn't disconnect from the last time. But I think you're here because, you're not here because you're not hearing my participant. Does it give you some kind of error message to say why you can't connect? I'm gonna wait for that. My favorite type to go. It's just really hard to say. That's a great question. I love aliens. I guess the funny thing is this. A lot of my personal favorite videos, a lot of times are not the same thing as the audience's. So a lot of them are, and then a lot of them aren't. If that makes sense. Some of my favorite ones barely get any views, and some of them are even challenging for the audience. So, it's I don't know. But then again, there's a lot of them that are like, they're amazing, and I love them, and you guys love them too. So it's hard to say that. And Dr. Gale is the one that told me that I've already had a guest on that's an ET. And so I don't know who that is. Do you guys have do you have a guest? And at the worst, Michael, if you like, we can just do it the other way and we'll just do audio if we have to. I hope we didn't lose him completely. We shouldn't, because usually it's not a big deal. See, Dr. Gale told me that I have an ET guide. Oh, I just realized this, that on the one tomorrow night, this guest that sees your spirit guides and draws them, she told me who my spirit guide is, and I think you guys are going to be shocked. And we'll just say it's not an ET. How about that? I think it's going to be shocking. I mean, you even need to put my picture in the video thumbnail and me just looking shocked or something, like I find out who my spirit guides are. I think it's pretty cool. And yes, Dr. Gale was a past guest. Mike, are you there?
You there, Jeff? Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So we'll just take you as we can.
I'm sorry. I can't give you the visual.
That's okay. I need to create just like a random person. I need to bring Jackson down here with me, and then whenever we can't see the guest, we just put Jackson's picture next to me or something. That would be cool. So now, as I was saying, we've never met. We're meeting you for the first time, and I believe you're here to tell us about a spiritually transformative experience that you had back in 2004. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. What happened to you?
Okay. Well, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with a little bit of a backstory about myself.
Okay. And
go from there. So, my earliest memory, I remember being in the womb. It was just like a snapshot of my memory. I remember being surrounded by safety and love in a confined space. And I remember my consciousness being a clean slate. And as a young child, I was very sensitive, very hypersensitive. If somebody said anything to me that was offensive, I would probably run and cry. And I kind of outgrew that a little bit, but I'm still a very sensitive person. And
why were you so sensitive? Why do you think you were so sensitive?
I don't know. I think I'm really not sure. It was just something that it's been with me all my life. So,
and how would you?
I'm still very sensitive.
How would you define sensitive? Like,
I'm sensitive towards everyone that I'm around. I can feel other people's emotions, and I would consider myself an empath, I guess. And
All right.
so moving forward, I remember knowing that I was gay at the age of 7.
Okay.
I just knew that about myself. So my maternal grandmother was my introduction to Christianity. She was the epitome of what it means to be a Christian. And she introduced Christianity to me, and she played the piano for her church, and there was pictures of Jesus throughout her whole house. So my parents got a divorce, and I didn't see much of her after that, after like 7 years old. So moving forward, in high school, I joined a church, a Baptist church, and as a sophomore, I got baptized.
Mm-hmm.
And I was really busy trying to pray the gay away.
Okay.
And that did not work. And I wore a T-shirt to school that said, "Be radical, follow Jesus." I was one of those type of people that was really into it. And I had a dream about Jesus one night in high school, right before I graduated. And he floated across the highway, and it was a very vivid dream, like he was communicating with me. He floated across the highway, and he gestured his arm as to say, "Go forward in your life." So I joined the Air Force at the age of 17, 2 weeks after I graduated high school, and I remained in the closet throughout my whole tenure in the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was living under the "don't ask, don't tell" policy put in
Right.
place by the Clinton administration.
Yeah.
So I got out of the Air Force after 10 years, and I moved to North Carolina to be around some family members. Well, 7 months later, I found myself leaving because I was in a very low place in my life because of the way a few family members treated me. I'm very thankful for those family members because they catapulted me into the dark night of the soul, or the valley of the shadow of death, I might say.
Mm-hmm.
And so
what do you mean that
I
they
left
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what do you mean that they catapulted you into the dark night of the soul? Like, what happened to you?
Well, a few of my family members sort of treated me like a little bit of an outcast, and it had nothing to do with my being gay. I wasn't out to them at all. It was just
Right.
one of those things that I just didn't get along with a few family members, and things went sour, and my plans to be around family kind of went sour. So it made me severely depressed. And so I left North Carolina, and I went back to where I was stationed at in the Air Force in Missouri. And I got a job as a civilian doing what I was doing in the military for about a month. And then I found myself leaving there because I was still in a very low place. And I drove to California. I drove from Missouri to California. And that's when I had my spiritually transformative experience.
All right. What happened?
Well, about halfway into my trip, I was just becoming overwhelmed by the beauty of the landscape of our country, just mesmerized by it.
I've driven to
And
California. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've driven to California many times. So where was this on your way?
Oh,
I'm
it
curious.
was like, let's see, it was like,
We're going North
probably
Carolina.
the Nevada area. It was
Okay.
when it started getting a little mountainous,
Right.
a little mountainous range. But so as I'm taking in this beautiful landscape, I started praying to God, and I started asking God, instead of doing what I typically did in my high school days, trying to pray the gay away, I asked God to simply forgive me for being gay.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happened, as soon as I said that, I started feeling something pulling in my eyes, like a sensation pulling inside of my eyes. And I kept looking into the rearview mirror, and I was noticing that my eyes were changing colors as I was feeling this sensation.
Wow.
And I knew that God was telling me at that very moment that I was feeling this sensation and noticing that my eyes were changing colors.
So like you were
He was
brown-eyed,
doing it.
so you went from brown to blue-eyed or hazel to
I
blue or
went,
something?
correct. That's correct. They were like a goldish color, goldish brown. And now they're this bluish color. That
Wow,
ever
that's
since that
amazing.
day, they're different.
Do you have like an old and a
And
new driver's license? The two different eye
uh,
colors?
I do have an old driver's license somewhere. I have to dig it up. I have before and after pictures of my eyes, so I could
Oh,
send
that's
those to you.
awesome. Wow, yeah, too bad we didn't have that.
But as this is happening, I have this downloaded message into my mind that is 3 resounding words: all is forgiven. And I knew at that moment that I needed to come out and rip off all of my masks that I was wearing, the big mask being in the closet, rip off that mask and be my true, authentic, 100% self without any facades. And as soon as I came out, I started having synchronicities.
Wow.
Yeah. And they were just so profound. Like there were a lot with nature, with birds and dragonflies, butterflies, all kinds of things like that. And just other types of synchronicities. As I was listening to something on TV, I might be thinking the same thing in my head, like a same exact phrase or word or something like that. And so that happens a lot. It still happens to this very day. So I can give you some examples of that.
Sure.
Like I was meditating on my back porch, and I was watching this little dragonfly fly up and down, landing on a plant. And I started sending this dragonfly love. And I was watching this dragonfly, meditating on it for about 20 minutes of sending it pure love. And about 20 minutes into it, I said, you know, little dragonfly, and this is all telepathic. I said, you know, little dragonfly, if I were a little kid, I may have swatted you. And as soon as I said the word swatted, that dragonfly flew off on that second. So I know I was connected to the dragonfly telepathically.
Mm.
So there's just so many synchronicities like that that I've had in my life.
Well, that's fascinating that once you accepted your authentic self, that everything changed for you.
Yeah.
Maybe, you know, like
Yeah.
somehow just accepting yourself, you just raised your vibration, whereas you were trying to be someone who you weren't. That was always, I don't know, confusing for your energy, and it lowered it.
That's exactly what happened, Jeff.
Well, I've had many near-death experiencers who are gay be on the other side, and they felt love and acceptance. So the way I take it is God doesn't care whether you're gay or not.
That's the way I take it too. I started studying near-death experiences about 8 years ago, and I came to those same conclusions.
All right.
There may be a few near-death experiences that you'll come across where a lesbian sent herself to hell. And I say she sent herself to hell because that's exactly what happens, because you go where your frequency is aligned.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just had a hellish near-death experience a couple days ago, and my personal stats on those are about 1 out of 100. And my personal opinion is on that is, I believe if you go have a hellish experience, it's probably something that you create for yourself. But generally, well, I guess obviously because they came back, but every guest that I've had that had a near-death experience got out of it, got out of hell, basically. The majority of them is when they either called out to God or Jesus, but that was usually, like I said, the way they got out.
Yes, I've heard those too.
So I guess when all else fails, if you find yourself in hell out there, just call out to God and Jesus, and most likely you'll get out.
Yes, absolutely. You got to mean it, but you do get a get out of jail free card.
Right. Well, what other experiences did you have?
Okay, so well, here's another one with a hummingbird. So I used to put out hummingbird feeders, you know, all the time. And so my spouse and I are sitting like way on the other side of our property, way away from the hummingbird feeders. And a hummingbird flew right in my face and just hovered there for maybe 5 seconds, like nose to nose with me. And then it flew off. And my spouse was like, wow, that hummingbird was like up in your face. I think he was saying thank you to you for the food. And I think he was right. So I met my partner in 2006, and we got married in 2014 when they legalized gay marriage here in North Carolina.
Okay.
And in 2013, I started noticing spirits around me.
What kind?
Like the first, little ghostly interactions. Like, for instance, the first thing that I noticed was our dog's food bowl got moved into the center of the room, and we heard it. And that was like the first moment that I knew something was around. So I smudged. The next day, I burned sage, and I said a prayer and asked whatever was around to leave if it was in alignment with the love and light. And that next morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, I heard footsteps around my bed. And then I heard it walk back around to the foot of my bed, and it tapped me on my toe 3 times as to say, I'm still here.
Interesting.
And I've had a lot of other ghostly interactions. Like a child ghost communicated with me. I had a very vivid dream that a car that was like an old wooden toy from the 50s that was painted different colors was pushed out of the bathroom towards my bed. And it was such a vivid dream, it was like somebody was trying to communicate with me. Well, the next night, I'm sleeping in my bed again, facing away from that bathroom. And so I'm facing away from this. The covers started ruffling. Something started ruffling in my covers. And then I felt something crawl in bed with me. And I think it was like a child ghost, like wanting to play with me and communicate with me. And as that happened, I started like hollering and panicking and turning towards it. And as I started hollering and turning towards it, it disappeared. There's so many like ghostly stories I could tell you.
What part of North Carolina are you in?
Denver. It's north of Charlotte.
All right. I've had a lot of guests from North Carolina this year. Just curious. I don't know. I think a lot of them are around the Asheville area.
Oh, okay.
But some of them have been other places. Trying to remember what is the major cities there? Is it Charlotte?
The major is Charlotte. It's the major one that's closest to me.
All right. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Well, are you up for any questions from the audience?
Sure. All
right.
I can keep going about synchronicities and stuff.
What do you think? All right. While we're waiting to see if anybody has any questions for you, what do you think is the most profound synchronicity that you've ever had? If you've not already said it.
Well, okay. I'll tell you this one about an orange sky. I have a lot of profound synchronicities, but I'll tell you this one in particular. Okay, so I'm in the bathtub and I'm getting ready to get out, and I happen to look up out the window and I notice that the sky is like really profoundly orange, like orange sherbet ice cream orange. It's the most orangest sky that I've ever seen, ever. So I'm just taking this sky in, and as I noticed the song started playing on my radio, and it was singing about orange skies. And I get to listening to it, and I look at my phone, and it's a song by Alexi Murdoch called Orange Sky. And if you don't mind, I'll read you a little bit of the lyrics.
All right.
It says, "Well, I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky. Yes, I had a dream with my brother standing by. I said, brother, it's been a long road we've been walking on. Oh, brother, oh, brother. And I had a dream. I stood beneath an orange sky with my sister standing by. I said, here is what I know now, sister. In your love, my salvation lies. In your love, my salvation lies." Repeat 3 times. And there's more lyrics, but I'll stop there. But it's a song about love being salvation.
That's great.
So, yeah. Here's another one for you.
Okay.
after I used to flip houses,
Oh wow!
and after I
Did you
purchased
do
my first,
did you do well in this last real estate boom here?
I did do very well and up until 2020 when
Really?
that whole thing happened.
I figured in 2020 you would have done amazing because all the houses just exploded in prices.
Well, I mean, at the very beginning, I was fine, but I could not find after that. I could not find a house
Oh, you
that was
couldn't
like
buy
cheap.
any? Is that what it is? You couldn't buy
Couldn't
any to
buy
flip?
any.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right. Uh, so that's in the past now. But when I first started doing it, my first flip house on August 2017, that was the day of the solar eclipse. So on the way home, my spouse and I, we saw a vertical rainbow at the end of the straightaway on the highway that we were on, going directly up into the sky. And I've never seen a vertical rainbow before. I know
That's
there's a
wild. I
scientific
mean, just
explanation
straight
for
up.
it,
I mean,
but
that was it. I mean, I've
just
I've
straight
seen the
up,
double
just
rainbows, but yeah, Well, you know what? I just had a guest. I'm pretty sure not too long ago that instead of seeing, well, I don't know if you can see me, but it's probably going to be delayed. But instead of being what we normally see as the rainbow, saw it from the side. So maybe that's what you were seeing, and when it appeared vertical from you, because instead of seeing that rainbow as an arc, you were standing on one end of it. Does that make
maybe
sense?
so.
You'll see my
It
hands
does.
here if you're looking at the screen, and that's amazing if that's true, because you're the second guest that has come on and talked about that.
Hmm. I also had another rainbow type thing that happened. My spouse and I were flying to Vegas, and I happened to look out the window and noticed that the shadow of the aircraft was on a cloud below us, and encircling the shadow of the aircraft was a rainbow.
Have you seen
And I've never
UFOs?
seen that before either. I have seen a few UFOs. I've seen one. It was like a long cigar shape. I don't know if it was white or if it was like a really light silver, but my spouse and I were walking in the neighborhood when we first moved here, and I saw it moving like right before it went behind a cloud, and I got his attention and said, "Hey, look up!" And he saw it too.
Hmm.
And another time I saw a UFO. I was again in my bathtub. It's one of my favorite pastimes, soak in the tub. But I'm getting out of the tub, and there's a cloud. It's like, oh, it's just about nighttime, and there's a cloud over my neighbor's house, and there's a flash of light that keeps coming out of it about every 10 seconds. And it did that for about 20 minutes. And I tried to videotape it with my iPad, because it's the first thing that I grabbed, and it wouldn't, nothing showed up on my iPad.
Hmm. I don't know if you know of Chris
But
Bledsoe. He's probably one of the most famous UFO experiencers out there. I think he has a TV show about him on History Channel, and he's from somewhere right around Charlotte. And I think
okay,
I had him on
yeah,
as a
that's
guest, and I think he can probably go outside every day and see orbs flying around him.
wow.
Hmm.
I happen to see orbs. I see them in the corner of my eyes, and I see them like on TV. I'm just watching like a YouTube video or something. I see orbs around people, or even on the news. So I think I see them better through electronics than I
Hmm.
do in real life. But I actually also see them from time to time. I'll see a flash of light, or I'll see an orb.
Hmm. That's awesome.
Um, yeah. But
All right.
I'm gonna go on and read some more synchronicity type things that happen to me.
Okay.
If you want me to read more.
Sure.
So I was in the bathtub one night, and I proclaimed that I turn over my free will to my team of love to
Your
guide me
free
through this
will.
life.
You said you dreamed that you turned over your free will to a team of love?
No, I actually proclaimed that out
Okay.
loud. I proclaimed it. I was awake. I was just laying in my bathtub, and I proclaimed that I turn over my free will to my
Hmm.
team of love to guide me through this life. And as I said that, a flashlight, like as bright as like a mag light, turned on at the top of the tree, a pine tree, like 50 feet up, pine tree, for like 2 seconds, as if to say, we got you, boo.
Hmm.
So I just thought that was amazing. I'll never forget that.
Hmm. That's awesome.
And I woke up about 6 months ago, every once in a while, I wake myself up, like talking to myself if I'm having a really intense dream. But about 6 months ago, I woke myself up speaking in tongues.
Really?
And I don't even know, I had no idea what I was saying. I just knew at that moment when I was doing it that it was tongues.
Have you ever
Because it was like
have you ever been able to speak what some people call light language?
I haven't. I'm not sure what that is. I heard of it, but I don't understand it quite.
I'm
I
sure
just don't
if
understand it.
you go on YouTube and you just put live light language or something, you'll see it. I've had some guests that are on that we're speaking the language live. And it's kind of like speaking in tongues in a way. I mean, it's very similar, but they add hand gestures to it as well.
Yeah.
You might be able to, once you take, it's very fast speaking. Once you saw it, maybe you are speaking like language and you don't even realize it. Is it possible that you're a star seed? Do you have you ever used that word, star seed?
I think I might be. I don't want to put any labels on myself because I just feel like I'm an average Joe, just like everybody else. But I do feel like I'm connected somehow. I'm here on a big mission, and that's doing what I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm. What is your mission?
So maybe I am a starseed. I don't know. To basically tell all of my LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters that they are worthy of God's love, just like everyone else in the world.
Yeah, that's great.
Because they've been put outside God's kingdom through dogma and through conservative religion. And now knowing what I know, knowing what I've been downloaded into my mind through the Lord, and as well as studying near-death experiences that confirm, we all go back to the highest power. I don't call them the higher power. I call them the highest power.
Okay. Why do you make
that's my biggest
why do you
message.
make that separation there between the highest and higher?
I don't know. I just feel like, people call the higher power, refer to God as the higher power, and God is actually the highest power.
Right.
I just like making that distinction. But
all right. Well, listen, Mike, you've been a great guest. I really appreciate you. Even though we couldn't see you, I think it still turned out really well. And I appreciate you. That's okay. I appreciate you coming on and joining us and reaching out to us. And maybe some other time we'll get to see you. Is there if people want to, do you have a website, or if there's any way people want to connect with you, is there a way to do so?
I don't have a website, but I am on Facebook.
You are on Facebook.
TikTok, and Instagram.
Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Is it just under your name, Michael Vess, or what?
It's under my name, Michael Vess or Mike Vess. I catch spirits, orbs, and fairies on my security cameras, and I post.
Really? Wow. Too bad we didn't have that. I would love to see those videos of those what you're seeing on your security camera. Where's your security camera located? I mean, where is it looking? Outside or in your house?
Well, they're outside. One of them's facing, out my front door, and then I have a couple at my back door, or attached to my shed.
Mm-hmm.
But before I go, I wanted to tell you something else. I wanted to talk about a sister that's been missing.
Oh, really? Your sister?
My sister, one of my sisters.
Wow, that's terrible.
I have 3 sisters.
How long has she been missing?
One of them, well, she went missing around November of 2013.
A long time ago.
She became schizophrenic. She became schizophrenic, and it was schizophrenic and bipolar combo.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually visited me one night. This is probably about 5 years ago. And I know it was her visiting me because my phone connected to my Bose speaker and started playing a song that she loved from the 80s called Break My Stride.
Okay.
And I looked up at the clock, and it was 2:24 in the morning, and that's her birthday, February the 24th. And she would be 50 years old today if she were here. This is her birthday.
Well, do you think she's transitioned, or do you think she's still here with us?
I think she's transitioned to the other side.
But you haven't.
I think that was her communicating with me.
Oh, really? You haven't
Telling me that she's
communicated
on the other side. Yes, I think she communicated with me.
I mean, you haven't confirmed that, though.
I haven't confirmed it, but I would like to know what happened to her.
Hmm.
If she's still here, I would like to know that, but I really think she's over there on the other side.
There is a woman that I had. She's there's a famous movie out there called What the Bleep Do I Know? I'm pretty sure that's the title of it. And one of the writers / producers was my guest. I can't remember her name because I've had over 1,000 guests, but she had a great story in that podcast. And for anybody there who else wants to check it out, if you know her name, I'm sure you can Google her name and then Google her name with JeffMara and you'll find it. Excuse me. But she told me this story that she was astral traveling one night and she was out cruising around the neighborhood while astral traveling during her lucid dreaming or something like that, and cruising around the neighborhood. And the next day, there is a homeless guy on the streets who everybody is, I guess, says is schizophrenic, and he's just a homeless person. And the next day, she was walking around the neighborhood, and the guy started yelling out to her and saying, "I saw you last night." Like when she was out astral traveling, he saw her. That's amazing. She tells the story so much better than that, and it's more detailed than that. But I mean, I thought that was amazing. And we're talking about maybe, some schizophrenic, if not all, that's why they have these problems, because, they're in both worlds at the same time.
Yes, I think so.
I think her name's Betsy, by the way. Betsy something.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, so maybe your sister is the same way. I wonder, she contacted you at some point.
Maybe so, but I just had this really strong feeling that she's passed. I don't know why, but I would really like to get that message out there. If somebody can help figure out where she's at or what happened. Her name is Christy K. Dart.
All right. Oh, she would be 50 if she was. If she is here with us, she would be 50 right now.
That's another synchronicity, Jeff. You moved this podcast for me to tonight, and her birthday is today.
Oh,
so
wow.
She would be 50 today. Yeah, so that's another synchronicity.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah. This is something else that was really strange that happened. Thank you for that. So I wanted to share something else with you. I had a dream about a tornado coming down my driveway on August the 26th, 2023. And the dream was so real, it was like watching a movie, and it was like perfect, organized chaos moving down my driveway. Well, the very next night, I actually had a tornado strike and knocked about 10 trees down on my property. And I mean, it was a blessing, and all in all, because insurance paid for us to get a bigger shed. But I can't believe I dreamed about that the night before. So it
sounds like you're a little bit clairaudient, or what was that? Claircognizant. Maybe that's the right word.
But I've never had anything like that before. So that was the first big thing.
That is amazing. All right, brother. Well, listen, I appreciate you coming and being a guest. I wish you the best. I wish you success at whatever you're doing. If people want to find you, again, he's Michael Vess, and he's out there on social media. And that's about it.
Michael Vess or Mike Vess.
Or Mike Vess.
So I'm Mike Vess or Michael Vess. You might find, like, Facebook is Mike Vess, Instagram is Michael G. Vess, TikTok is Mike Vess, and YouTube is Michael Vess. I'm sorry about that.
Do you have anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
I think I just want to really emphasize one last thing. I mean, I don't really have anything that I'm working on in particular. I just want to get this message out. This has been 20 years that I've been sitting on The Secret, and I'm just now coming out of the closet spiritually.
Okay.
And you are my first podcast that I've gave this to. So, but I just want to say that a lot of NDEs will talk about the spirit of the Antichrist.
The spirit of the Antichrist. Okay.
The spirit of the Antichrist is a spirit that tries to convince people that they're unworthy of receiving God's love. But the spirit of the Antichrist is a liar. It's a spirit, and it's alive and well in the church. And I just want to say to those that want to put anyone outside of God's kingdom for any reason because of their religious beliefs or their whatever it is that they believe, we are all worthy of God's love. And not only is one wrong for trying to tell somebody that they're unworthy, that's also verbal abuse. Aside from being a lie about the nature of reality, it's also verbal abuse. And to a message to my LGBTQ plus brothers and sisters, you are not perverted. The story you've been told about your relationship with God has been perverted through religion. He is 100% unconditional love. That means you don't have to become straight or fulfill any other condition like find the proper pronoun to make people feel comfortable to receive God's love. It's automatic. So that's my message to my LGBTQ brothers and sisters.
Well, Michael, thank you again for coming and being with us. Again, I really appreciate you. I wish you success in whatever you're doing, and I hope you find your sister.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, Mara, as well.
All right. She says you're welcome. All right. Take care, Michael. Have a great rest of your evening.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. So thank you, Michael, for coming and hanging out with us. I appreciate you. All right. Let me see. My wife says that we got a few things. So we got a few things here, some questions and some announcements. The first one is thank you to Tina for that super thanks. We really appreciate you. And it looks like you're from Australia. So awesome. And another one is from Stephanie Wilson. She says, thank you for the live streams. Thank you, Stephanie, for that super thanks. We really appreciate it. Katie Vilbig, how do you pick or let people come to your show? I post the question on your website. Would really like to be on your show and share my NDE. Ooh, sounds good. All you have to do is email me personally. And let me see. I'm pretty sure in the description below here, it says if you would like to be a guest, please email me at. So just send me an email. And for some reason, I don't respond. I should respond. I mean, leave a comment. But I mean, people email me all the time. So it shouldn't be a problem. So if you want to be on, we'll get you on. So you please contact me so we can make that happen. All right, what's the next one? Healing with the Angels. Is this show where anyone can be on? The Saturday nights are generally, they used to be, I would just let anybody come on in real time. Like, whoever would just show up, I would let them on. But what happened was people were coming and everybody who's been here, which many of you have, you know what happened. But if you're not here, people were coming in and causing trouble. We'll just put it that way. And I could never figure out how to stop it. I thought I did, but I could not. We did the best we could. And so I've just completely changed the format where I have people that want to come on. Then I schedule people, yeah. And there's a lot of people that I just feel would work better on a Saturday night like this than on a regular full 1 hour. And so, and actually, these are really starting to fill up. I mean, I'm starting to fill these Saturday nights up like further out in advance. So it's starting to get pretty popular. So, if you do want to get on, you have to contact me and we'll get you on sometime in the next few weeks or so. So I hope those answer your questions, and we'll get you on. And I still love it. Like, my favorite, to tell you honestly, I don't think it's a challenge. I just love spontaneity. And of course, I love all the guests that come, but even my favorites on Saturday nights are when it's just a complete stranger, like Michael today. I love, for the first time, a complete stranger. I think it's really fun. I'm not saying that my previous guests aren't fun either. I'm just saying my favorite generally is when it just someone that I never met. Through email. Yes, Sarah, please contact me via email. And that will be the way to come on a Saturday night. What else is going on here? So again, tomorrow night, you get to find out I wish she would have had a picture though. She didn't have a picture of maybe she did, but I don't think so. She didn't have a picture of my spirit guides, but she told me who my spirit guides are. And I think, at least for one of them, you will be shocked about who that is. And she is an amazing artist. I mean, I think she is amazing. When you see her pictures, you'll be amazed. She sees people's spirit guides and she draws them, and they're like paintings. They're really beautiful. So that's really cool. It's coming up. As I was saying, this week I have another one. Probably the one after that. Mondays will probably be an NDE from Vincent Olivier from France. And then after that I have, depending on who's going to be coming after that, I'm not really sure about who and when, but I have another NDE that I had the other day, Jane Thompson, which I think is pretty popular. Tomorrow I'm going to be recording with Joel TV, a famous YouTuber. I don't think he's even about spiritual stuff, but he had an NDE, and we'll be talking to him about his. Another exciting guest that's going to be coming by in a couple weeks is Dr. Courtney Brown is coming back, and I think I'm really excited about that one. If you weren't here, or if you don't remember, Dr. Courtney Brown is a PhD mathematician, but he does mathematical equations for political purposes. You wouldn't really think he would break down math for politics, but he does these political mathematical equations. And for sure, that's a great one. But no, Johnny Carson is not my spirit guide. That would be pretty cool. Anyways, Dr. Brown, he's a professor at Emory University. I mean, that's a big time university, and that's where the CDC is located out of. And he is a person that is a remote viewer, I believe he has a remote viewing team he's been on. Last time we talked about how if he told us how to set up the camera, and he said, if you set up a camera and point it at the sky for 10 minutes, any time of the day, you will record a UFO. And so I think we're going to be going over his UFO footage. We will be going over, we have a whole bunch of new stuff that we're going over. And I might, and he also believes that the Earth is a prison planet. And I wouldn't be too, hopefully that's not going to scare you or trigger you, but he believes that the Earth is a prison planet, and we're all here as either prisoners, or this is the prison of the galaxy, and it's either we were bad people, or we were the ones that, maybe we're the rebellious ones, or like the rebels of the Empire, like Star Wars, and that's where they stuck us so we wouldn't rain on their parade, right? So I think that one, I wonder if we're going to talk about that. I'd like to talk to him at least a little bit about that. And no, Paul Schaefer's not my spirit guide either, but I'd like to talk about that because there is a famous book out there of the Roswell incident, and apparently, according to this book, this nurse was with an ET that was recovered with the craft from Roswell, and she and the Roswell ET had a telepathic conversation, and he also told her that is what the Earth is a prison planet. So I would at least like to ask him, where did he come up with the prison idea? Is that from a remote viewing, or did he get it from that book that explains that? So some of the prisoners are saints, possibly. And Jet says, I'm ready for parole. So I think it'll be interesting. Oh wow, Typo is here. We haven't seen Typo in a long time. She's up here waiting to get into the room. We can trust Typo because we know who she is. We'll let Typo in, but normally we will I don't let anybody in from here anymore, but since we know who Typo is, she's a longtime listener and contributor. We'll just check in with Typo real quick and see what she's up to. Typo, are you there?
And just you start.
Hey, Typo. We have not. There you are. We haven't seen you in probably like a year or so. Where have you been?
It's been really busy, but I've seen you every single night.
Well,
so thank you so much.
Thank you.
I watch your videos to drift off and have beautiful dreams, and I'm so grateful that you are so consistent. And your shows are just fabulous. I miss you, and I want to say hi to Mara,
she says thank
Mara, and thank you so much for your great video work. It's great.
She's saying thank you. Where have you been for so long? Welcome. Took us a year to get you back here.
It was a year, but it was a year full of fun and adventure. I moved, and I was going to head down to.
Are you in Arkansas?
Last time we met. But I did not go to Arkansas. I ended up going to Florida.
Wow, that's a cool place as well. What part?
Sarasota.
Sarasota. All right. Why did you change your mind on Arkansas?
It turned out that that I just kept hitting blocks, and I could tell there's something about it that's not working with my family, my people, my friends. And so eventually I stopped, and I spent about a month with no plan at all. And I just left it empty. And then at a certain point, maybe 30 days later or so, I just left it to universe. And I said, if there's a new place or something that I've changed in my criteria, just lead me to it. Just make it easy, because I have spent a lot of energy on this and it's just time. So you show me what would work. And in a freak scenario of goofy searches and people sending me things in a rapid, maybe 3-week window, I ended up finding a community that just works perfectly with all of my studies. And within a month and a half, I was heading down here. And then when I came down here, bought a house within 3 days. And now I've been moving in. So I just wanted to say hi and let you know that I miss you guys, and I haven't called in at all, but I've been thinking of you.
Well, we missed you too. And are you liking the big change in weather?
You know, I was wondering how that would work, but it's not so bad. It's not bad at all. It's the humidity is much like Massachusetts. So far, I haven't made it. What are we in? We're in February. So I'll let you know when summer comes, because they say that's the dreadful 2 months, right?
Right. I could see that.
But it's nice not to be. Yeah, but it's nice not to be freezing cold. So there's a lot of pluses right now. And I would imagine that the humidity in summer, it might be like when you're in Massachusetts and it's really cold and you can't go out, so you stay in.
Yep.
But no shoveling. So far everything's fine. And let's see. I've started to do group parties for readings instead of. I started by doing clearings. That moved to psychic and remote viewing, which I always had, but I never, I would just do it. I wouldn't talk about it. And now I do parties and events through Zoom, and it's a blast.
Wow, I never heard of that. People are having Zoom parties? And you go
having a party,
like a Zoom party, and you go do readings for everybody at the Zoom party or something?
Yeah, like they're having a house party. So they're all in a house having a house party. And cool. One by one, the guests can come in and get a reading. And then I get everybody a reading while they're there. So I don't have to drive, and I don't have to go through enormous work. and it ends up being a blast. And we play games like finding things in the house.
Well, that's amazing. What a great way to put your talents to use, is doing group parties. Whoever was that your idea? Did you come up with that?
That was a bunch of math professors that I ended up, along this last year, I ended up meeting my neighbor, and I never talked to my neighbors about what I did online
Hmm.
because it's just too hard for so many people.
Yeah.
And one day, the there was I was trying to bring my dog for a walk, and I couldn't find anything. Everything was disheveled, and I knew something was up. So I just sat for a minute and said, "Okay, when are you gonna, Spirit? When are you gonna let me leave the house and go for this walk?" And all of a sudden, the energy changed. So I said, "Okay, I'm leaving." So as I left, um, I see a man and a woman up the street, and the woman, oh, and they're looking at a house for sale.
Hmm.
And I say, "It's a good neighborhood. You'd like living here. It's a good neighborhood. I live right down the street." And they laughed and said, "We live across the street. We were just coming to look at the house."
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Oh, all right, good." And I'm about to leave with my dog to continue my walk because I don't talk about anything having to do with spirit or what I do with anyone in my neighborhood. And all of a sudden, her mother started saying, "Tell her, tell her," in spirit. And I'm like, like, what? Why are you bothering me? She says, "You have to tell her." So she asked me, "What do you do? I haven't met you and you're two doors down. What do you do for work?" And I thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to say this out loud.
Hmm.
So I said, I do tarot cards and I'm into energy, just trying to make it a casual roll of the tongue statement. I had never practiced an elevator statement
Hmm.
to my neighbor. And so I said, tarot cards, I'm into energy. Um, I work with people that have had near death experiences. We have more than 25 million of them now. So it's becoming pretty commonplace. She says, "Oh," but she starts talking about all this stuff. And then the husband says, "Well, see you later. Nice meeting you. I'm going to leave her here because she probably has a lot of questions for you." All of a sudden, the mother starts saying, "Tell her about it. Tell her about it." So I'm saying to the mother, "What? What do you want? I already told her I do spirit stuff. What do you want me to say?" And the girl starts talking about how her father was dying. And she always didn't like her father because she thought he was cold and mean. And she gets into this story. And all of a sudden, in my head, I start seeing, as a little girl, she's in water and I can see her feet lifting and bubbles in darkness. And I'm thinking, wow, what's this that I'm seeing? And then I felt her energy, and she had if you had like a wooden bowl, like a salad bowl, but not a dessert size, but a wide one. She had that feeling of energy behind her that I never felt before. And I thought, what is that energy that I'm feeling? It went all around her bodice, up around her head. And it felt concave, like it was empty in the middle, almost like it sunk back around her heart, back toward her spine. And I love feeling energy. So that got my curiosity up. And I thought, what am I feeling? What is she? That's what I do for work. So I wanted to know, what's this new feeling? And the mother's saying, "Just tell her." And finally I say, "I can see you're showing me a picture. I can feel her energy, but I don't know what to tell her." And all of a sudden, boom, this woman is telling me this story about family members and dying and all this stuff. And finally I say, "Did you die when you were little? Did you drown?" And she says, "No." And I'm like, just think about it for a minute. Maybe you did. And she's like, nah, oh yeah, when I was 6, blah, blah, blah. That did it. She just opened up, talking about what had happened. I'm like, yeah, I can see it. So your brother pulled you out, and you were. She's like, yeah. How do you know my brother pulled me out? And I'm like, because. All right, I'm just gonna tell you, your mother's here, and she wants to tell you. And I dump out all this crap, and I'm thinking that this woman that I'm just talking to outside my house is going to think I'm a crazy person, because that's what my perception was. That's why I never told anyone in my neighborhood. She starts asking questions and the mother starts telling all this information. And the woman is like, oh my God, I'm so glad I met you. My father's dying and blah, blah, blah. Well, that led to about she's a math professor. She ended up introducing me to all the entire department, the math department. So within that department, and we worked for like 6 months together, and it ended up she made up with the father. The father was never a mean, nasty person. There was specific family things that were happening that were adult issues, and they weren't bad. They were just adult and confusing for a little kid, and she was a little kid. So the father seemed very serious, but he was just managing really important things. So they made up before he died, and they made peace. She opened up her heart chakra, learned to throw energy around. It was great. She showed the whole department of math people. So all of these professors started getting together. And so I read them all, and da 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 da. And then they're the ones that wanted to have a party. And I couldn't make it because I'm in Florida. So they came up with the idea and said, oh, go on Zoom and give us each a reading. And I thought, oh, that's a blast. So I made up some games, and that's what I'm going to do. And it's really a way to and I'm putting the idea out for other people that want to show people without leaving their house and having to go through a big expense, because it's time. We need to let people know that this is normal. And so it's a good method for doing that, to take part in parties, and also it's time for light workers and people that work with psychic mediums, whatever you do, animals, right? I can do animals now. That's really fun. Anything that you do, a lot of people that can do this type of thing have a hang up about charging money, but they need to live, right? We all eat, we all have homes, and we all need to make a regular income so we can live well. So it's really useful to come up with these easy solutions and easy ways to get the word out so that people can start making money with this, because then, or make more money with it, or come up with creative ways to educate regular people so that they know. So that's going to be fun, isn't it? Doesn't that sound kind of cool?
I think it's awesome. I think it's an amazing story, and I wish you massive success with it. I think you may be, like the first person doing it, and if you, I don't know, advertise it and market it right, it could be huge for you.
Yeah, and just a lot of fun, where people that might not otherwise be aware of this can actually see it in action. And it's not like they have to set up an appointment or go anywhere for a meeting. So it just makes it a smart way to educate the public. By the way, can I ask you, I've been a member of your YouTube membership.
Yes, thank you very much.
For ages.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I love it. I love it. It's my pleasure because of what you accomplish. It's just amazing where you've brought this topic, and the quality of the people that you bring on. I don't know how to get in touch with you to find out when the private calls
I
or
need to do
anything.
that
So
again.
should I just text? Should I just
No,
email you?
I need to just, I usually message everybody. And for those of you that are that level of membership, I apologize for having doing them for a while. I need to start doing them again. Once a month, I would do for all the $5, for the middle and high level members, I would do a Zoom meeting just hanging out with me for an hour. It's not a video. It's just where we hang out and do whatever. Strangely enough, I've done quite a few of them and like only one person shows up. One or two people. The last one I did, there was probably the most ever, which was I think 4 or at the most 5. But strangely enough, I would do them. I would announce them. And like I said, I would be sitting here for a while just by myself alone. Nobody would show up. So I need to get them started again. I need to get a designated date, like a Sunday. Maybe next Sunday I will designate like every Sunday night or my Sunday night, one Sunday night a month where everybody can hang out with me and we talk. I mean, it's just whatever, hanging out. I mean, have you ever been to one? I think maybe you've been to one, if at all, any. You've never been to one. Okay.
I never got any notifications.
Well, usually what I do is on my YouTube channel, what I can do is I post what they call a community post. Like through YouTube, I'll make a post. It's like most of the time it's like, hey, I'm late on the video tonight, or I have a really special guest tonight. I'll leave a post for everybody. And I don't know if maybe you haven't checked the bell, the notification. Do you get notified on every video? Because if you
get notified every night of your video.
Okay, so that you should get, I would assume you should get notified of those community posts as well. But usually, and they only go out to the people that are of the silver and gold memberships. They don't go to everybody when I make those posts about I'm going to be hanging out with all the members tonight. Maybe I need to find a new way, or just make it like, maybe I need to just make it like, let me see, what's today's date? So how about we need to do the first, maybe I got to know that the first Sunday of every month, it'll be a member hangout on Zoom, the very first Sunday of every month, which would be next Sunday. Let me make sure I don't have any guests next Sunday night that I'm recording. Which I don't. It's during the day. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to say the first Sunday of every month is the member hangout. And I usually do it in the evening, like around 7 o'clock Central Time, 6 or 7 Central Time. And that's a great idea, sure, but I don't have access to that. I mean, I don't think YouTube just tells me who the members are by their YouTube channel. It doesn't give me any specific information on who the members are, like their membership or their email or whatever. And so I need to make another post about that.
That would be so much fun.
And I need to do that again. Maybe what?
I love it. I love it.
Okay, yeah. So we'll all plan on next Sunday. We'll plan on next Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Time, and then I'll make a post about that again during the week, and hopefully people will see it. Maybe people are not seeing it. Maybe that's what it is. But like I said, in the past, it was like nobody would. Sometimes I'd be sitting alone. And like I would sit there almost I remember one time I sat there for like the entire hour alone, and like in the last 5 minutes somebody showed up. I just left it on and was doing maybe editing or doing something else, wondering if anybody's want to come. And I just thought, maybe people are just very, very kind and generous, and they're being a member just to help me out by donating, and meeting up with the group meet wasn't that important to them.
Well, I'd be happy if just supporting would be worth it for me. I would be more than happy to continue, but it would be a special treat to see you. And I just didn't see where it was marked down for time. And you know what happens if you post during the day? Well, I sit down after dinner and I read the notifications. So I may have been just missing them.
Yeah, I don't even remember what, probably during the days when I did it or something. So anyways, listen, Typo, I am so sorry, but I got to run. I'm into overtime and I have one more guest today I've got to get to.
Have a great night.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
he was here. He left.
Talk
But
to you
anyway,
next week.
all right,
Bye-bye.
we'll see you later.
Oh, bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Leslie was here. I don't know, Leslie, if you're still here, I'll wait for a minute. Leslie was going to come back. I was just there. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got, somehow a system crashed. I'll wait for you for a few moments here. Leslie was going to come and play some live music for us. Let me see. I want to know the what? What dimension I'm from? Good question. I don't even know what dimension I'm from. I can just tell you I'm in the third dimension with you right now. At least while we're here, right? Some people say we're in all the dimensions at all times. Everything's happening at once, so maybe we're everywhere. So anyways, yeah, what we were talking about is the membership levels. There's like a very low membership level, and then there's like a silver and a bronze, and for the silver and the bronze, what you get with that is you can hang out with me once a month, and it's not even live. It's just hanging out like on Zoom with everybody together at once and talk about whatever for an hour. So, and that was that membership. And like, as you heard, a lot of times barely anybody would show up. And even the highest level, if you notice at the very end of the videos, it always says thank you to the gold members. Those are the people that donate at that level, and we have their names at the end of the video. So anyways, Leslie, if you are out there in chat world, which it's 9. It's an Atari shirt, yeah. I'm old school. I played Atari. Oh, there's Leslie. Again, it's backwards. So yes, I have my Atari shirt on today. That, you know, it's weird, not weird, but I mean, if you guys played Atari, I did, and I'm still only good with a joystick and one button. I play with my kids on Xbox and PS4 and 2 with the controllers with 2 hands. I'm terrible at that. And I guess that's just, it's too late for me, maybe. Leslie, can you hear us?
Yes.
Have you been playing video games, Leslie? Do you play video games there in Hong Kong with your son?
Sorry, I'm not.
You don't play video games. You're just playing the piano.
Yeah, this is the best.
All
But
right.
now I tried to playing about the other camera, for it's very nice my face.
Mm-hmm.
But if you give,
Well, I think you have a new hairstyle now. You're wearing your hair different. I like it. Looks good.
Yeah, you really not so much left, but thank you. Very good. Just a moment. I tried prepare for the other camera.
What will you be playing for us tonight? Will you be channeling while you're playing? You'll be channeling music live?
I'm always channeling, so
All right. So for those of you that are here, Leslie channels live music. And he came a couple weeks ago, and then before that, we hadn't seen him for a few months or so. So he's back tonight. We're going to finish up the night with Leslie channeling some live music. Do you even have any idea what you're going to be playing, or you don't know until you just start playing in real time?
It's really real time and really even I was a little bit wondering for I use choir or use synthesizer, so not about what I play, but also which type of sound I may use. There was also a question, so
Yeah.
it's very interesting.
It's interesting as I can see your computer screen behind you, and I can see you and me together behind you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm going to put in a request in for synthesizer. How about that? Can you play a sound and make something that sounds futuristic for us?
Okay.
How about that? You know of who Jean-Michel Jarre is?
Sorry, I have just one what I use, but I know his wonderful New Age music. So now I find anyway the camera.
There is
So
his keyboard.
just must a little bit here. Yeah, a little bit better. Yeah, so not so much different the sound what I use, but of the two different choir or a synthesized synth pad. I, according your choose, I did this.
All right.
So I'm ready.
We're ready
So
for you.
yeah, it's very great. Can I ask for any specific for where to send the music that purposely? Do you have any friends for
Do we have him?
steak?
Do
Or,
we have a? All right, that's a great one. We had a guest, and his sister has been missing since 2013.
oh wow.
So if you can send the music to her, that would be amazing.
Yes, and I can send to over the world in the same time for me it can find. Also, the frequency is amazing for
Yeah, that'd
not
be cool.
connected any space or time. So let's do it and definitely dedicate it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's make sure we can hear your keyboard first.
Oh, yes, a good idea for not. It's not yet set up. Boom. Okay.
Yep.
And I need to show my face, right?
Yeah.
Also.
You don't have to, but I think it's more interesting.
Okay. Is my hand go down? Is my hand?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah, that's cool.
Not AI system yet.
Yeah. So we know it's not pre-recorded. And today that this woman is her birthday.
Wow, it's very special.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you can hear it, but we're giving you a big applause right now. Bravo, bravo, bravo. Great job, Leslie. That was beautiful. That's actually one of my favorite songs I think you've played so far.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really like that one.
You know, before I always praying take a time for filling up, I can channel really the music, what is coming from. So it's not just sitting last time, whatever, you know, your technique and patterns and skills and bye-bye. But was very interesting was everything just a little, 1 minute, everything was for do not connect with you. For I discovered, I come here, oh wonderful, oh, no any link. So what to do? Oh, then can come there. Oh, maybe the old link. Come the link. After I discovered no music. Needed to restart the whole system. So I know when it's such situation, and it also happened many times in technical things, this is the right way. So I keep going. And 2 weeks later, if you allow, once again coming always in the last 15 minutes. But now I know how to find the link, what to do with the music setup. So I've been on time.
Yeah, the link never changes. So if you have it once, you always have it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
So,
well, thank you, Leslie. We really appreciate you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you, sir. And what we always say is, God bless you.
God bless you, brother. Oh, I like that. That looks cool.
I don't know who do this, but I not do anything. I am no anything, but it's come from Apple or YouTube.
It's something in your Zoom settings, because I had the guest the other day, the guy that had a hellish, was it the hellish NDE or a different one? But when some kind of setting, that thumbs up thing popped up on him too. I need to look into that, but it's a Zoom setting, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, thank you. No,
Yeah.
We feel fine. See you. God bless you.
Thank
See
you. God bless you. Take care. Up there it went again. Did you see that? That was pretty cool. I got to figure that out for myself on how to do that. That'd be really fun to play with. All right, guys. Well, it was a really fun Saturday night. We had some great guests on, and we had a great week. So I will see you guys back live next Saturday night. I hope you join us. Bring some friends, because I really want to get this bigger. We always are around 300, and I'd really like to at least get it up to 1,000. I mean, the video game guys they can get 10, 20, 30,000 people on their live streams. So, I mean, even just getting to 1,000 shouldn't be that hard. Anyways, again, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the video tomorrow night. If you haven't checked out our behind the scenes from tonight, go check that out. You can kind of get to see what it looks like without the green screen. And that's it. Thank you, guys. God bless you. We love you, and good night.